Hey everyone, I want to get real with you for a second here. It's been a few weeks since I've done an episode, and part of it has been good reason. I went to go see my super adorable nephew, and quite honestly, he's way cuter than you guys are, so gonna go do that. And then I also got a promotion, which is awesome, but it also means I'm doing two jobs. My previous job, because I haven't finished all the work I was doing there, and my new job at the exact same time. So it's been a lot. I've been pretty exhausted, so I haven't been doing an episode. But the last and probably the worst reason to not have done this episode so far is that I've been kind of dreading doing this topic. So the topic is about making more money. I think it's one of the most searched for videos on YouTube or just on the internet in general. And people really want to know how to make more money. We talked about reducing your spending. It's not quite as fun as making more money, and that's what everybody really wants to find out about. The problem is there's no real secret to making more money. Everyone wants to know, like, how do you make that passive income? What's that little thing you got to do that, suddenly makes you a millionaire the next day? And I just need to know that secret and I'll be a millionaire, and it never actually works out that way. So people, they try to explain this as best they can, and the people who seem to try to describe this topic as cryptically as possible seem to be the most successful. They do some weird stuff where they're talking about how, like, rich people have this secret they don't want to tell you about, and all the poor people are trained to be employees their whole lives, and then this secret, read my book and you'll find out what the secret is, and they're real cryptic about it, and at the end of the day, you just find out what they mean is they borrow money to start businesses. It's not like rocket science. It's just they're kind of really good at convincing people to give them money. So it's kind of a tough topic, but I want to cover some of the ways that you can get more money. Here at Wealthy Idiots, we're not looking for $1 million tomorrow. We're looking for $1 million at retirement, or whatever it is your goal is to achieve that. And because we know the power of compound interest and what it takes to actually get there, we are going to teach you how to make every little bit count. You're going to use every little thing that you can to get you over that ledge and be successful. So that being said, everything we're going to talk about... Oops. Sorry, you didn't get to see my awesome mug. So with that being said, let's hop right into it. All right. Welcome back to the Wealthy Idiots. My name's AJ, and this is the Wealthy Idiot Show. Please, for the love of your income, for the love of your bottom line, check out our website, wealthyidiots.com. Also, make sure to give us a like and a subscribe. Hit that bell. The more people, the more likes that we can get, the more that this video will get out there to people, and the more people can learn about financial health. We don't make any money from this, although we hope to someday. Right now, we're not making any money from this. We're just trying to provide people with information that we've collected so that you can be successful in your future, like we hope to be as well. All right, so let's get into part 2 of more money. Part 2 of more money. Part 2 of more money is, so last time we talked about how to spend less money, and we talked about how to shave off little bits here and there so that we have that buffer, because we're looking for that buffer in order to take us to the next step, right? So the first step to all this, we talked about mindset. Now we're talking about how to have more money. First is we can reduce our spending. Second is we got to increase the amount that we're making. And then with that difference, we're not going to go buy a fancy car. We're not going to go blow it on something. We're going to take that difference and we're going to start either paying off some debt, or we're going to start investing. And we're going to talk about that in a future video. But this week, we want to cover how to make more money. So I'm going to go over some of the ways to make more money. We're going to discuss them, but the good ones are at the end. So stick around so that you can find out the really good information that you're going to need to know. Firstly is royalties. Royalties is pretty simple. The concept is you have some sort of intellectual property or some sort of rights to whether it be information or music or some kind of content. And then when other people use that content, you're getting paid. There's not much more to it than that. just making some money because you did a thing in the past and now people are paying you to use it. This is an interesting one. You can try and make stuff, try to collect royalties off of it. I mean, if you got the free time to do it, might as well give it a go. I don't think it's terribly common, so you put it at the beginning. We're going to skip to the second one, interest income. So interest income is collecting money for letting other people use your money. Most of the time, we're on the other end of this one. We're purchasing things on credit card and we're paying someone else in order to use our future money today. It's not a great way of doing things, but it's also possible to lend people money and gain interest from that. So if you were to give someone money, they might pay you to get to be able to use that money. The next is capital gains. Now this one's pretty common. You have to have some money. We're going to talk about investing and how to get capital gains. But the concept of capital gains is simply that you bought a thing and its value is going up, right? And then the difference is called the capital gain. So you go and you buy shares in Apple, Tesla, Google, whatever, and then let's say next year it's worth 7% more. Now you have a capital gain. That's really all that is. The next is dividend income. Dividend income is where you buy a particular share where the company is paying out some of the profits to the shareholders. So an interesting dividend income, well-known like dividend income paying shares might be like IBM is a pretty well-known one. What else do we got? There's a lot. It's just I don't recognize most of these companies. IBM obviously is one of them. Procter & Gamble. Oh, Coca-Cola. It's a good one. Johnson & Johnson. Target. Apple, Microsoft, Verizon are all paying dividend stocks. So the idea is that you're not only purchasing a share in which you hope it gains value, the actual profits that company is making is getting distributed amongst its shareholders, and you gain some sort of percentage back as a result of your purchase. So let's say you owned a bunch of shares of Apple. In a year, those shares could be worth 10% more, and then you got the capital gains, but they're also going to pay you back some sort of percent, like 3 to 4% on top of what you own, back to you from the profits of the company. So that's an interesting one as well. The next is one of my favorites, rental income. Love rental income. It's simply purchasing items that you can then rent out. So the most popular one is going to be real estate. We're going to do some videos about real estate because how could you not? It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite forms of investing, and I think one of the most powerful forms of investing. But the concept is pretty simple. The idea is that you purchase a house, you let someone use that house, whether it be long-term or short-term rentals, and then they're going to pay you back for the use of that house. And you're going to charge them hopefully more than whatever it is your cost is, and you're going to gain income from that purchase. Now, this one's interesting in that a lot of people think that this is hard to enter into because of how expensive it is to purchase homes, like down payments in order to get into that home purchase. And at some point we'll cover it, but there's ways to get into purchasing homes for way cheaper. And there's also some really interesting ideas around purchasing homes called house hacking, where you purchase the home and you live in a part of it. So you can live in a room of a multi-bedroom home and rent out the other bedrooms, or you can buy a multiplex, 2, 3, 4-plex, and rent out one of the units, or keep one of the units for yourself while renting out the other units. And this allows you to get a lower interest rate on your loan because it's not an investment loan, it's a personal loan since you live there. And it allows for other benefits like lower down payments in order to be able to get into that property. Usually these rules require like a little bit of like a time limit for how long you live there before it expires. So you have to, like if you lock in this personal loan deal, you might have to live there for 1 to 2 years in order to keep that deal for the remainder of the loan. But then you could hop over and do it again, get another personal loan, get another home, rent out the other rooms, and then rent out the original one and keep building this real estate portfolio. So it's a really interesting concept for making more money. I like it. You do have to have a little bit at least. I think the minimum that you can probably get away with is 3.5% down. So you have to have something in order to get it down. But it's definitely worth looking into, and we're definitely going to make some videos about it. Also at wealthyidiots.com, there are articles about this already because we do find it a really cool investment opportunity. The next two are probably the most commonly known two forms of income. Let's see, of those two, the first is earned income. This is the type of income that we all generally associate with income. You get a job, they pay you for your time working that job. That's considered earned income. A lot of people feel like they're limited in this, but there's a few ways that you can make more money as a part of your job. One is to go negotiate your salary. Forbes points out that 70% of managers expect a salary and benefits negotiation when they make a job offer. Even some of these job offers state that they are flexible. And in these circumstances, 46% of men negotiate and 34% of women negotiate. So in both men and women, less than 50% negotiate when the actual job offer says flexible in salary. Even if you didn't negotiate when you originally got the job, it turns out that pretty much every job everywhere costs an employer a significant amount more in order to hire someone new than it would be to keep you. They have ramp up time. So if you're efficient and you're good at what you do, there's a ramp up time for a new employee to get to the position or to get to the place that you are in your abilities. The training costs, the time it takes to look for a candidate, to interview a candidate, to then hire a candidate, all of those things make getting a new employee a lot more expensive. So just being able to go in and negotiate up a small percentage, could be 1%, 2%, 3%, in order to try and get them to give you something is more than likely going to benefit you. Salary negotiations almost never result in retaliations by the employer. They don't take it personally. You can walk in and say, hey, look up, go get some information off the internet about what you think you could be getting. Find some information, walk into your boss and say, hey, this is what I think I should be getting paid and I'm not. What can we do to try and bridge that gap? And in a lot of cases, they'll at least go up a little bit. And like we talked about, every little bit counts. We're looking for, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. And if we can pull that off, that's a huge benefit for your future. A more drastic answer would be to find a new job. So if you're talking to an employer, they're not willing to up your salary, but you feel like you could be getting paid more somewhere else, maybe start looking for a new job. Maybe look outside your industry. There's a possibility that there are jobs available in other industries. Something to note is that most jobs in the job requirements section will put the max expectation for a candidate, not the minimum. So when we're saying, So they'll say things like, you have to have a master's degree in this, 50 years plus experience in that, have invented time travel and gone back in time to save the dinosaurs, right? People look at that and most people automatically assume they don't meet these qualifications and they move on. That's a lot of competition lost in that role. So by applying for roles, even if you don't meet those requirements, there are chances that you could still get that position. And then now negotiate your salary. Maybe the job pays more in salary and we can make more money that way. The next thing we could do is get a second job. So even something like 1099 contract work. So driving for Uber, DoorDash, something like that. Getting a second job just sort of on the side in order to kind of supplement your income is also very helpful. If you have extra time, you could be doing something. Speaking of doing something with extra time, the very last thing on this list is starting a business. So I think this is where most people think that they're going to really take themselves to the next level. It's also one of the hardest things to do, but it's very beneficial. There's a couple different types of businesses, and I wrote them down here. One is making and selling things. So if you're capable of producing something and selling it online somewhere, you can make money that way. Create content for ad revenue. That's what we're doing here at Wealthy Idiots, trying to create great content in hopes that maybe we could just develop some ad revenue as a result of it. The next is providing a service. Service is pretty solid. Look around, see what's missing. If people need some help doing something, then you could create a business that provides that service. Most businesses, so some things to note, and this is why I think most people fail, or they start and then they kind of give up, is that businesses will take 2 to 3 years to make a profit. I once read somewhere, and I don't remember where this is, but I once read somewhere that anything great takes at least 3 years to achieve. And that could be getting a college degree, that could be starting a business, that can be an athlete. If you're going to go from mediocre to good, it's going to take 3 years. Good to great, another 3 years. And you can see that in things like high school players move on to college. That's 4 years. College is 4 years. They move on to the pros, and they don't usually start developing into superstars until about 3-ish years, because for some reason that 3 to 4 year marker is the time it takes for us to develop and adapt to the environment in order to be successful in that environment. So if you start a business, it's not going to be successful day 1. It's not going to be successful day 2. It's going to take you at least 2 to 3 years in order to start seeing some kind of improvement on that business. And the number one key to success in that is consistency. It's not your actual idea. So I think the other part that makes it hard for people to start businesses is that they start the business, they get ideas that are kind of outside of their skill sets. So the biggest one, coming from someone who's a software developer, the biggest one I get is people hitting me up asking me to make the next great app that's going to replace Facebook and we're all going to be bajillionaires. If you can't develop some kind of software, don't try to start a software business. Start something that is actually possible to you. As a software engineer, I'm going to tell you right now, I cannot compete with Facebook. It's never going to happen. I'm one person. There are thousands of people. It's just never going to be a thing, right? So if you can't develop software, you definitely can't compete with Facebook. Don't start trying. Start a business that actually meets some kind of need and start trying to meet that need and be consistent about it for about 2 to 3 years, and you'll start to see some kind of success. All right, so in closing, one interesting thought that I had, and I don't remember where I heard this, but someone had made it their goal. So when they left their home and they started on their own, I wish I could remember who it was that did this, but what they refused to do was spend their earned income. They just refused to spend their earned income meaning jobs. So whatever job they worked, all of that money would go into some kind of investment. So it would be investing in businesses, trying to start a business with it, investing in real estate, buying shares, and they would use their earned income only for those things. And their goal was to try and get those things to produce enough money to live off of. And the earned income was never the thing that they actually lived off of. This kind of created that fire underneath them in order to actually start producing things. If they wanted their lifestyle to progress, it wasn't about how do I get my job to pay me more money. It was about how do I grow to get the money I need in order to have a lifestyle that's progressing. And the earned income was sort of like that investment seed in order to start that process. I thought that was really interesting. I know that we can't all do that. I couldn't do that because I lived out on my own and had to pay rent, because that's a thing that people have to do. And but I thought it was kind of an interesting idea, and so I kind of took that to heart a little bit, and I do that with like a portion of my income. So I take a small portion of my income, and that's what I live off of, and then my lifestyle growth only wraps around what I can produce as secondary income. So through my side projects like this, or through investing in real estate, those are the things that I can use to actually grow my lifestyle, whereas my earned income, for the most part, is my seed in order to achieve these things, and a very small bit of it is my minimum living costs. So I thought that was an interesting thing. You could take that. Maybe we'll talk about that in another episode, but I want to thank you for stopping by. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Check out our website. Look at the descriptions. Comment down below. Do all the fun things that help us out. We super appreciate it. I want to thank you for stopping by one last time, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.